Alright, so this is my She-Hulk episode 2 review, and before we get into that, a couple of, I guess you could call it housekeeping. First off, Obi-Wan is going to have a season 2. Apparently a trailer was already released. No, I did not see it, but I guess it's going to be something like The Jedi Returns or something. Or maybe that's just what they were calling that particular trailer. Anyway, now, I said last week that there was a rumor that She-Hulk was not CGI, that they just had a tall woman. Well, I went to Internet Movie Database, and it does show a picture of a woman and claims that she was a She-Hulk reference. But Tatiana Maslany at the red carpet premiere said that she was wearing a motion capture suit. So, yeah, it was CGI. It was VFX. So, anyway, now to the show. So, it starts off with newscasts throughout Los Angeles talking about what happened in the courtroom of this court case. Now, Titania is a superhuman social media influencer who was just escaping traffic court. That's why she was there. So maybe if Jen didn't transform into She-Hulk, maybe she would have just left. Or I don't know. But so she was just trying to escape her court case. It's not that she was there to attack anybody. She wasn't there for anyone in particular. So then it's decided that they're going to name her She-Hulk, which Jen is not down with because that just makes her a derivative of the Hulk as opposed to her own person. Which, yeah, I can see that, but oh well. That's still a lot better than being called, say, the Abomination. I mean, who wants to be called that? But anyway, so she goes into the bar with Nikki, and everyone's chanting, She-Hulk, She-Hulk. And first off, she didn't recognize that they were talking about her, because what the hell, She-Hulk. On the other hand, and plus she didn't want to go in as She-Hulk because she, felt demeaned by it, but Nikki convinced her to go in. She does, and she takes advantage of the fact that as She-Hulk, she can drink a shit ton of alcohol and not get drunk. The problem happened a bit later when, first off, Dennis, who they're trying to make him as unlikable as is humanly possible. Now, at first I thought he was the district attorney, but I'm thinking he's another deputy district attorney. And, so he says something smarmy to Jen and Nikki. And, oh, there's a woman. I'm going to flirt with it. I'm surprised nobody actually, hauled off and decked him. Not as She-Hulk, just as a woman, just hauled off and decked him. Not that he doesn't deserve it. So Jen and Nikki are basking in Jen's newfound fame. And then her boss comes in. And he wants to talk to her. And he doesn't want to talk to her while she's She-Hulk. And so she goes back to being Jen. Unfortunately, because she went back to being Jen and she drank way too much, she's drunk. So at first she just completely falls. And I mean, at least he's not a jerk. He actually sounds like he's actually treating her like a human being, unlike the other guy, which is why I think he's the district attorney and the other guy is another deputy district attorney. But anyway, so he, unfortunately, because they lost the case, the defense called for a mistrial because they figured that the jury would be influenced by the fact that Jen saved their lives by preventing a pew from landing on any of them. Which I can see his point. So yeah, they're making lawyers out to be really smarmy in this show, which, that's already their reputation. But anyway, so he fires her. She's like, but I did the right thing. He goes, yeah, you did do the right thing. Unfortunately, we cannot afford, the district attorney's office cannot afford having you around because who knows when you'll have to Hulk out. So, but he at least understood the situation. They can't keep her because of liability issues, but it sucks that he has to fire her. So at least he's being human about it. So yeah, she sobered up real quick at the realization that he just fired her. And so she's horribly upset. And then you see a montage of her going to interview, and everybody basically worried about the same thing, that she might turn into a sideshow. Now, on the one hand, calling her a sideshow, well, she just saved someone's life. I mean, she saved the jury's lives. It's not like she intended to go in and become She-Hulk to draw attention to herself. It's just Dennis thought that that's what she was doing, but he's a prick. So, yeah, it's fine. So, she's depressed. And so she's starting to look at becoming a mascot at Disneyland. And Nikki is like, you've got to be kidding me. What is wrong with you? So she ends up getting a message reminding her of a family dinner, which she's so excited to go to. She wants Nikki to go with her. And Nikki's like, I have a date. And so Jen's like, I'll never forgive you. And she said it so convincingly, too. But, so she goes to this family dinner, and she's met with her parents, and she had some offering. I don't know if it were donuts, or a cake, or what, or a pie. We don't know what was in the box. We just know that she brought some baked good. And, her mom is like, oh, you've got to watch your weight. You've got to, watch your waistline. It's like, I'm sorry. Do you see what she grows into? I don't think that's going to be a problem. I'm pretty sure part of being gamma irradiated is, you don't gain weight. I'm pretty sure that that's up there with you can drink a shit ton of alcohol and not get drunk. I'm pretty sure that goes hand in hand. But anyway, um, so I don't know if that would just affect She-Hulk or Jen. But anyway, so her father explains to her everybody knows the situation. You know, you don't have to feel uncomfortable. So they walk in, and immediately cousin Ched mentions that, "Oh, I hear you got fired or something," and her father chastises him because he wasn't supposed to say it, whereas Ched said, "Oh, I thought you told us to say it." Now, either Ched is pretending to be a complete airhead because in the first episode, Bruce and Jen were talking about the intelligence in this family, and they mentioned cousin Ched. So either he's pretending to be a total dumbass, or they were being completely sarcastic when they mentioned him as being intelligent, more intelligent than the two of them. But nice hair though. I did like the hair. So immediately they start bombarding her with her being a superhero. The mom says, "Oh, I gave your number to this guy at the coffee shop who wants to become a superhero." And she's like, "I'm not a superhero, and stop giving my number to random people." And actually, I'm pretty sure at that point Jen wished that she was actually trying to hook her up as opposed to this. Because her mom's like, "Oh yeah, he's too young for you." So, gotta admit that's a twist. And so then the father is asking her about Hawkeye, how he, what happens to the arrows that he shoots into the sky. And which we found out in the Hawkeye series, he just runs and collects them. Now, and then which I found out later were her aunt and uncle, his wife, the aunt, wants to give her a makeover so she looks more like She-Hulk. So then you hear everybody talking over themselves, and Jen's like, "Please, God, get me out of here." Please, somebody. But it's just amazing that she was She-Hulk for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden her entire freaking family thinks that she's a superhero and she knows the Avengers and all that. It's like, just because Bruce is a part of this, Bruce is her cousin, and he knows the Avengers, what makes you think that she's been living the secret double life or something? Just putting that out there. So, finally, her father asks for her help for a couple of things. And so they go into his workshop, which I'm assuming is in the garage. And it was more of a ploy just to make sure she's okay. Which I thought was super sweet, even though once she started talking and explaining how frustrating it is to lose her job. Nobody wants to hire her because she's She-Hulk, and how it's like her degree was, going to school was not worth anything anymore because of all of that's happening. And you could see on his face he was kind of regretting. I mean, he wants to help her and he tried to get a word in edgewise, but at the same time, I think he wanted out. He wanted to get out of there. But he just reminded her that they know how to deal with Hulk stuff, because of her cousin. And look at it this way, you did not destroy a city. which is true. She destroyed a courtroom. Well, Titania destroyed a courtroom. She basically protected people. So, yeah. And so then she goes back to the bar, and apparently she's a regular there because everybody was, Pug was being so sweet, and you could see the faces that they were giving each other. And I think Holloway is also a regular because of the communication that they were having too, the nonverbal. But so Holloway comes in while she's drinking, and she's like, yeah, that's my budget. Which I don't know if she meant financial budget, or if I have any more, I will be shit-faced. Not sure. Could be a bit of both. So Holloway comes in, and he wants to offer her a job. And before he can explain to her what the division is that he wants her working in, she immediately takes it. Even though she's kind of pissed off that he's the one who got her fired. Well, actually, he called the mistrial. I don't think he intended to get her fired for that. I mean, this is not something that's unusual. Mistrials do happen. And, but he seems more of a jerk than her previous boss because he was understanding that she had no choice. She had to do what she did. He, on the other hand, just wants a face for the superhero division, which she does not give him a chance to tell her. She takes the job and goes the next day and goes to work and finds out that she's going to be the face of the superhero division, but he doesn't want Jennifer Walters. He wants She-Hulk, which pisses her off, and she goes off on a fourth wall rant. And unlike Bruce, who seemed to catch that she was breaking the fourth wall, he was completely oblivious to the fact. So she's upset that it doesn't matter what her skills are. They just want her because she's She-Hulk. And again, can't blame her. I mean, it feels like as long as you have any amount of experience in the law, that he would hire them just simply because they're superheroes. But so, and it gets worse. First off, he shows her the new office, and Nikki is there because she insisted that she wanted to hire her own paralegal, and he didn't give a shit. So Nikki is just beside herself at this beautiful office that they are now in. And this guy who's also from the superhero division. Now, I don't know if he said his name and I just missed it, but he was very nervous and he brought them a basket, a welcome basket. And so I don't know if he was scared of She-Hulk, in awe of She-Hulk. I don't know. Or he's just normally nervous meeting new people. But so he gives them a basket of fruits and vegetables, food. I don't know if it was fruits and vegetables, but food, some snacks, the best bathroom to go to, which She-Hulk seemed to be especially happy about, and some other things. So I hope we see more of him because he seems like a really sweet guy. And it sounds like Jen's gonna need a shoulder to cry on because unfortunately Bruce is not gonna be able to help her that much. So she goes to see Holloway, and is, is ready for her first assignment. Her first assignment is to defend Emil Blonsky. And this is where we really get into the original Incredible Hulk is canon to the MCU. Because she immediately is like, I can't defend him. He's like, I know that, he attacked your cousin and blah, blah, blah. But, so she thinks it's a conflict of interest. And he's like, I don't care. It's fine. And she's like, oh, just meet up with him and then make your decision. Even though he did also say, if you don't do this, you don't have a job here. So he is kind of blackmailing her, She really doesn't have that much of a choice. So she goes to visit Emil Blonsky, and she first goes to She-Hulk, and they tell her, you can't use your superpowers. So she turns back to Jennifer, and the guard takes her in, but obviously the guard is not in on the fact that she's She-Hulk, because he's really hammering it home to be careful of the Abomination. And I'm just like, dude, she's She-Hulk. Granted, he gave Bruce a run for his money, but, she's not as defenseless as you think she is. So she meets up with Blonsky. He's talking about haikus he's written against all the people he's hurt, and that he wants to make amends, that he's turned over a new leaf, and they also acknowledge that he is British, but he was born in Russia. So they do acknowledge he's Russian, but he's British. And so Jen is conflicted because he seems sincere, and so she decides to call Bruce. And she's telling Bruce what's happening, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're good now. It's all water under the bridge. He wrote me this letter, this personalized haiku." And we're good. And Bruce is like, "It sounds like you want to take the job." And he's like, "Yeah, actually I do." So it's agreed that, Bruce is fine with it. And then we see him on a Sakaar ship. And obviously, I assume it's the same ship that caused their crash to begin with. And he's just hanging out, and he immediately hung up on her. Which, I don't know if it's because they went into warp speed, or what. That they lost connection, or that he hung up on her. But she calls her boss to let him know that she's going to take the job. She's going to defend Blonsky. And he's like, "That's great. Oh, and you might want to turn on the news." And he hangs up on her, and it's like, he was way too calm about it. It seemed like that this was a setup. So I don't know if Blonsky has done this before and he's aware of this, and he's just setting Jen up to fail or something. It was just very weird how he just calmly said, "Oh, you might want to look at the news," only to find out that there was a prison break, and Abomination is part of a fight club. So now we know that this is taking place at the same time as Shang-Chi. And she's like, "Oh, great." And that's where it ends. And of course they want to talk to his lawyer about, no comment yet from his lawyer. It's like, wait, he had one before? How did they find this out when Jen just said she was going to do this? But, so that's where it ends. That's where this episode ends. And, then there was a post-credit scene again. Now, I'm thinking that the relevant post-credit scenes, the things that foreshadow what's going to happen, will probably be saved for the last episode, maybe last two. Because so far, these are just been funny, like deleted scenes type deals. Only they're not bloopers. So we see her helping with changing the tire by holding up the car. We've seen her putting up this big screen TV back on the wall because apparently her father did something. And also we saw her carrying all these jugs of water. And she's like, I think this is overkill. You don't need this much water. So it was basically the post-credit scene. It was just more silliness. Let's see if I missed anything. I do wonder, since we're going to we have to get into Avenger level stuff because they keep bringing up the Avengers. So maybe towards the end something happens. Now, it could be that something happens to Bruce or with Bruce because he's going up to Sakaar. So I don't know if we're going to see him again. In the trailers, we have seen him. So maybe we'll still see him again. Or something might happen to one of the members of her family. Because I've seen it in the trailers. We do see Titania again. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. Maybe she tries to hurt a member of her family because we're not in the secret identity business here. So who knows? I think that covers everything. So I will see you guys next week.